In the 18th century in Britain, there was a man by the name of Lord Cutler Becket. He was the leader of the East India Trading Company, which was a maritime company that controlled naval trade in that time. And historians tell us that he was a proud man. He's the arrogant kind of pride where everything that he did was to serve his own interests. He didn't care about others or the consequences of his actions. He was only there to rise as high as he could. And it's reported that upon his death on his ship, which was blowing up around him as he was losing a fight to a contemporary, his last words were, "It's just good business," which indicates that this is just the way that he lived his life. It was all a transaction, and it was all due to his pride. Now, one of his contemporaries at the time was a man by the name of James Norrington, who held various positions within the British Royal Navy. And history tells us that he started off in the very same way. He was very proud. He was proud of what he did. He upheld the law with little regard for how it might be impacting people, or little regard if it was actually fair or true or just. But as his career progressed, he found some uncomfortable truths about what he was actually doing and where he was going that shook his way of thinking. And unlike Lord Becket, James Norrington was not too proud to consider that maybe there was an alternative way to live life, that maybe there was another point of view outside of his own that was different or better, or a new way of thinking. And his career also ended tragically. He died in a fight, but he died saving some people that previously he would have gave no thought to persecuting. He had come around. He was not too proud, and he ended up helping and saving a lot of people. And if you want to learn more about their rise and fall, or if you just enjoy some really good 18th century maritime drama, you can do so by watching the early 2000s documentary series, Pirates of the Caribbean. We love a good story. And the stories that we tell, they reflect realities that we see in our own lives. And one of the most common story arcs that you see is people who are trying to figure out what to do with their pride. There are a lot of different literary devices that people use as they write stories or write movies. There's things like the hero's journey and these kind of arcs for characters that you can follow throughout. And there's one that we probably have all heard, or if you think of the stories, a character that you love, you have probably witnessed. And I like to call it the pride parabola, because it kind of goes like that. Like there's the high point, the low point, and then the end. And so if you think of a character from a book or a movie, they probably have gone on a journey like this at some point. You've got the main character. They have a plan. It is not a good plan, and everybody around them can see it and knows it. Their friends tell them, "Hey, that's not a good plan. This is gonna blow up in your face." The main character says, I'm gonna do it anyways, and guess what happens? The plan blows up. They hit the bottom of the parabola. They are all alone, everything's broken, everything's messy, they're alienated, they're alone, and they say, "Oh no, maybe I should have listened to my friends all along." But it's so normal to have that kind of plot. We see it play out all the time in stories and in movies because it's honestly just reflective of our lives. It's such a human plot. Because we all have choices that we make. We all have plans that we want to see come true. You have dreams, you have plans, you have things that you want to accomplish. But the interesting thing is, we are incredibly good at calling out that sort of thing when we see it in a movie or when we read it in a book. We can see miles ahead that that's not going to work out, and we love it when a character gets a redemption arc where, yeah, see, you should have listened to your friends all along, but you have a hard time translating that to our own lives. And I think the reason for that is because pride is something that's incredibly hard to quantify. It's really hard to talk about. It's kind of nebulous. We know it when we see it, but it's really hard to give it some sort of definition. It's hard to describe what it is. And so as I was thinking about this, I came up with an illustration that might help us as we move from stories to maybe more of the sports world, but different kind of sports. You could say that pride is like a horse that has blinders. You've seen that, right? Whether it's a carriage ride going through downtown or maybe even in the Kentucky Derby, they have modified blinders. Pride, it's like a horse that's got blinders on. Why does a horse wear blinders? They wear them so they can stay focused on the task ahead, so that they're not spooked or scared or distracted by the things that are going on around them. And in theory, that actually sounds kind of nice, doesn't it? You could just be at work and just put up some little blinders. You're like, I just need to get this done. Please don't talk to me. That sounds great. But what makes a horse with blinders work? It's the rider. It's the jockey. It's the driver of the carriage. It is the person that is telling them what direction they're headed in and where they are going and where they are turning next, that allows them to just simply focus and do what they have to do. And so maybe we need to take this a step further. Maybe pride isn't just a horse with blinders, but maybe pride is like a horse with blinders that has kicked off its rider. So for us, if we're living out of pride, just running blind, being powerful and effective, can feel like you're doing good things for a little bit. You can feel focused. You can feel like, yes, I'm accomplishing things. I am getting things done. But there's stuff that's being trampled in the periphery that you can't see. Or maybe you just choose to ignore what's happening around you as you pursue your goals. Sometimes when we're living out of pride and we've got blinders on, the thing that gets pushed out to the side, the thing that we can't see is accountability for our actions. Sometimes pride means that we push away people. Whether it's people that are trying to speak into our lives, like that storytelling arc of pride, like, hey man, I don't think that plan is gonna be such a good idea. We shut that out. We say, you know what, I'm not gonna listen to that. I'm gonna keep doing what I wanna do. But ultimately, pride means that we are pushing away God. We don't have to do life alone, but rather we were created to do life with God who created us. God wants to be with us, and as the creator of us, he ultimately is the one who should be and has the right to be the rider in our lives, to be the guide, to be that voice, that ultimate decision maker. But when we live life out of pride, we are kicking off our guide and our rider. So ultimately, pride is like a blinded horse without a guide.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for checking out that last clip. My name is James and I serve as the Digital Media Director at Hope Church. If you're interested in exploring more about this topic, just click the link down in the description. But we also wanted to take some time to personally invite you to come join us for our next live stream that's going to happen right here on YouTube starting at 8:25 a.m. Central. You'll be welcomed by our on-air host who will guide you through that day's experience. We have chat hosts ready to answer any questions that you might have, and we would just love for you to come be a part of our growing online community. But the real highlight is that we get a chance to meet you. So if you're interested in joining us, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you'll get notified when we go live this Sunday. I cannot wait to hang out with you, and we'll see you there.